Well, Nigeria has in the last 10 days been rocked by a protest against rising cost of living and bad governance in the country. The protest, which has seen violent destructions and loss of lives in parts of the country, got concluded on Saturday amid grave concerns about possible foreign interference in the riot. In some places, protesters in Kano, Kaduna, and some other northern states have been seen carrying Russian flags, calling for a disturbing regime change in the country. On Wednesday, President Bola Tinubu, in an official video released by the State House, called for calm and patience, assuring that the country is transitioning from darkness to dawn. Now, Tinubu had in May 2023 removed fuel subsidy, which immediately caused the price of food and other commodities to skyrocket. Meanwhile, the federal government, through the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tugga, has cautioned strongly against foreign interference in the protests, warning that the government won't hesitate to deal with any foreign entity backing the protesters directly or indirectly. Now, Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, and other security chiefs also issued similar threats, warning against foreign interference. Well, joining us in the studio to take a look at the situation is Oyalowo, who is a public policy expert, and we will be joined later on by Adamu Garba, who is a former presidential aspirant under the All Progressives Congress. Thank you so much, Ayo, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Somna, for having me. Good afternoon.
Yeah, so, well, the latest is that the protests have been sketchy. I mean, not really so much like the way it started on day one, but generally, let's have an overview. What have you seen as the demands by Nigerians in the past 10 days and efforts by the government to see if indeed it can meet such demands, especially President Tinubu's posture during this period, which some people have been reading, different nuances to?
Well, Somna, I think we have to look at it from various lenses. Like I said somewhere, when somebody interviewed me and asked whether the president's speech last, I think that was Sunday morning,
yeah, it was on Sunday,
if it calmed the frayed nerves of protesters. And I told the interviewer then, I said, look, it depends on who you are looking at. If you are a genuine protester who wanted to bring something, because normally the whole idea of having a protest is because you have an issue you want to bring to the fore. So if truly your agenda was to bring an issue to the attention of the power that be, that is the president and the executive council, then they have succeeded in bringing the attention. I mean, the attention of the president to it, because we've seen he has responded, he had started doing measures even before the protest started. So clearly, for those who genuinely wanted to protest and who had reasons to protest, yes, they have been able to bring their agitations to the fore. However, for those who had other agendas, even God cannot calm such people. And I gave an example of what happened between Nigeria and Britain about the same time, when there was, they still had some pockets of riot here and there in the United Kingdom. And we saw the even opposition saying, no, we won't take this in our country, because they understand that, look, you can only have a country to protest in first if there's a country. But unlike in Nigeria, where people who have been contesting election before some of us were even born, they will always never be satisfied, because as long as they're not in the saddle of power. But as far as I'm concerned, the president has addressed some of the issues even before then. What most Nigerians need to now understand is, what are the root causes? Yeah, I mean,
when you say the president has addressed the concerns, some Nigerians will still disagree with you, because the two pillars of this protest are actually that people are hungry, and then there's corruption and bad governance in the country. Exactly. So has the government addressed these two key issues?
In terms of hunger, I always ask one question. Who owns where will food come from? From the land. When we plant, when we do agriculture, is that also? Who owns the land? By the Nigerian constitution, the federal government does not own an inch of land. I hope you know that.
Except
the lands are owned, every land is owned by state governments. So what we should be asking ourselves is this, and I say this everywhere. Before this administration came into power, the immediate past administration, especially some states, I can mention Kebbi State, I can mention Jigawa, I can mention Kano, and some other state, they had invested heavily in irrigation and agriculture. Unfortunately, The moment those governors left, their predecessors did not follow through. So when people say they are hungry, will Tinubu just do abacadabra, agulamaguta, and food will appear on our tables? When our governors have refused to invest in agriculture, we're going to have this challenge. What the federal government can only do is policy. Give you policy guidelines and things you can do and help you in terms of giving you the backing. But it is still the state. And how has the federal government done its own part? I will tell you. So many states, there is no state in Nigeria that has earned less than 41% on top of what they used to earn in terms of federal allocation. Yeah. The list is 47%. So which means the federal government has pumped in funds into our states. So we are not asking our governors, what have you done with? Now they are going around. Well, some
of the governors are actually denying that. Like, for example, the 570 billion naira.
No, what they are saying is that
Governor Makinde said,
he says what they
haven't received it and all of that.
No. I saw a few other governors who are saying, yes, they have received it, but it is not a gift, it is this, it is that. But the question still remains, what have you done with it? Okay, let's take away this 570 billion. Let's talk about your normal monthly allocation. Like, that is one I was even talking about. Every state, no state has gotten less than 47% above what they used to get. But some of these don't even pay salaries. It is that bad. So we need to start asking genuine questions. Yes, the federal government must give the backbone to the state. Okay, for instance, even before the protest started, each state was given 20 tons of 20 trucks of grains. We saw what happened in states like Edo and so. They were hiding it in homes and warehouses. People had to go there. So these are the challenges. The federal government will push out what they need to push. But we as a people, we must learn to hold our own leaders to account. Not just the federal government. The federal government has its own share. But the state government and the local government, which the president is trying to empower, must do their own part, because government must come down from the top to the least.
To hold on there. Let's go on a short break. And when we come back, we will be having Adamu Garba, former APC presidential aspirant, actually joining us in the conversation. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching This Week, and I'm Somna Sambo. We still have with us in the studio Oyalowo, who is a public policy analyst, and then of course joining us right now is former APC presidential aspirant Adamu Garba, who will help us to understand some of the issues at hand. Thank you so much, Adamu, for joining us. So like I was asking Ayo earlier on, the two pillars of the concerns of Nigerians that led to this 10-day protest is the issue of hunger and then the issue of corruption and bad governance. Do you think, in your own estimation, that the federal government and state governments have been able to address the cries of Nigerians?
Thank you for asking this question. In fact, I had Godfather. We call him Godfather. Yes. I had him giving the details and synopsis about the involvement of state government in allocation of land for agricultural practices. But I think even the federal government need to be very clear that although we remove subsidy, but the present government is doing exceedingly well in making sure that there is food availability in the country. Just look at the law that was mandated by the presidency, Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of Finance, allowing food importation without waiver, so that Nigerians can have enough food for them to have waiver on tax. Waiver on tax and duties, so that they can have enough food on their table and ameliorate the current crisis that we are all calling. Again, when you look at the massive investment that the government has done in agriculture so far, look at what is happening in state like Niger State. How many trucks were bought just to make sure that we enable and open the land. Look at what is happening in Jigawa. So the government is not unmindful of the hunger that is happening in the country. The only challenge that we have is, as he said, is the state government. Because by Land Use Act 1970s, it was clear that it is the state government that have the right to allocate these lands. And we have seen a demonstration of this capacity by the Niger State governor, because he came out and allocated the land. And voila, the president was there. The vice president was there. Almost the entire Ministry of Agriculture, Finance, and the entire physical part of the government at the federal level were there to support it. Why don't we see it in other states? Exactly. So these are the questions.
The governors are actually fighting back too, because the federal government has been saying that it pushed 570 billion naira, it pushed food trucks and all of that, and they are saying that some of these measures by the central government have not been received by the subnationals.
So some of them are saying, like, I had His Excellency, the Governor of Oyo State, claiming that that money is a grant from World Bank. Yes. But yes, World Bank can only give a grant when there are situations, and some of these situations of emergencies are food crisis. I think there is no any high level of trouble that can affect any land today in the world other than food crisis. Once you have food insecurity, you have all other insecurities also coming on board. So the fact that these monies have been given to you timely, without any delay by the Federation, it means that you should take proactive measures is also addressing your own local concerns. So this is the way we should look into this. Yeah. The government is doing its best from the federal level. The state government needs to complement. Like we have Ministry of Education in state governments, but most of the commissioners are rendered important. You only see the government. Right, so these are the challenges that needed to be addressed actually.
Ayo, let's come back to the issues of the politics of this protest. Yeah. There have been lots of thinking, within political circles that this is actually targeted at President Tinubu, with what you could hear people outrightly calling for the military to take over power. People holding Russian flags and all of that. And then the president too, at some point, standing aloof and saying, well, maybe that's the thinking, within some circles, that, well, since it's more in the north, no more in the south, let's see what happens.
No, actually, you see, before the protest, some of us gave this warning that, look, the whole idea of a protest is to bring to the fore an issue. And the president and his cabinet have recognized it. Why don't we shelve this protest? Because some of us knew that no matter how you look at it, some people will always hijack this. And we knew this. We warned the protester, the ones who said they were leading the protest, let's desist, because you see, we are in a precarious situation. Nobody wants an unstable polity. Any instability in the polity could mean danger for us. So I am not surprised to see some part of the protest being hijacked. It's not a new thing. It was supposed to happen. If you don't know what you're doing, we saw how it started in Sudan. Today it's an unstable polity. Congo is an unstable polity. Libya today has not been able to regain what they used to be. So clearly there are always foreign elements who want to destabilize your system.
So how do you balance it with the need for Nigerians to protest too? You can't say because there will be interference or alleged hijack that you shouldn't protest.
The government gave a rule. This is where I'm going. The government proactively say, look, you have a right to protest. So they went to court. And they said protesters should stay in so and so area. For a Lagos that maintained that area where they said the protest can hold, you see, there was no problem. But for states that refused to comply, they start going out of the allocated zone. That's when it got hijacked. But so you can't say people should not protest. see, if you protest...
do you think you can actually restrict these huge numbers of Nigerians who want to protest? It was more of a personal thing, not even good
thing. The thing about protest is, see, people keep getting like as a protest must burn down the land. Protest is bringing attention. Even if you stay in one place, television's camera will come there and carry you. They will interview you and you will tell the world what your ground. Isn't that what you want? See, the whole idea of protest is not to bring your problem to the attention of those who should listen to it. So if you stay in one place and they get your idea, what difference will it make? Do you think coming to the street and burning tires is actually protest? Now we see what has happened in the UK. They are even going to people's home to pick them up. So when they say stay in one place, those who say stay in one place, we are not stupid. You were warned. Look at what happened in Borno. There was already a security signal that something bad was going to happen, but they refused to listen. How many people died when the bombers now joined into the protest and suicide bombers? So these are the issues. So if security are telling you that, look, we suspect this are going to happen, then let's listen to them. The worst that can happen is that you will stay in one place, but your camera, other station camera, will be able to go there and pick them. Well, so any other person,
that's not enough.
Any other person who now goes away from that center, if anything happens there, you can't answer. These are the criminals.
Well, someone who is in a very far place will need to enter transport before you get to that place.
You don't have to be there if you are. You see, if what you want to say is being said by somebody else, must you always be the one to say it? As long as what you want to say is the same thing protester A is saying, we are hungry. We want change in this area of governance. We want the government to do A and B and C. And Adamu is saying it. Must I also say it? If Adamu is saying it and I'm being represented through Adamu, that is fine.
All right, and I bring you in, Adamu, actually, coincidentally, as he's calling your name. Let's talk about this agenda of the protests in the north. Why did this actually took a different dimension from this same protest in the southern part of the country? That's where people are confusing it to and saying that looks like there was a political agenda other than this cry for hunger and bad governance.
Yes, you look at the outcome of the 2023 election, you will see that, of course, APC have scored some good votes there and that returned the president, but yet again, the contestant who came from the northern part of Nigeria got considerable amount of vote, and that should not be something that will be happy, you know, to some of the people that support him. And again, you look at the political dynamics of the northern Nigeria itself, you know, the fact that it's neighboring a Sahel country, you know, countries, this Association of Sahel Nations, these AES countries. So, and you look at the dynamics that is playing over there, and you look at the dynamics that has been playing also with Russian-Ukrainian invasion and how it started, and how Ukraine is actively trying to create a proxy war with Russia in the same region within the Sahel. You saw that the Ukrainian guys were in support of Somalian terrorists, Azawad, to confront the state of Mali. And that necessitated even both of the countries of Burkina Faso and Niger cutting ties with Ukraine, you know, directly. So when you look at this kind of dynamics, you will see, and we have 7 states in Nigeria that are linked to that Sahelian countries. So there are a lot of tension that is coming from that part of the world, or so that part of Africa. It was a
copycat, actually, by some of the northern protesters.
Exactly, because if you listen to some of them and what they say, I saw one of the social media persons, you know, that is doing that, and I chatted him one time. He chatted me on social media and we responded. And I chatted him, why are you doing that? He said, I have to do that because we believe if we do that, it brings the attention of the president. Because that's what happened in other countries, and also brings the attention of their government. So when they see Russian flag, they act. And he was even telling me that he's vindicated that the following day the president delivers speech. It is because of the Russian flag. So when you look at these kind of things, you will see that they are trying to copy what is happening in the neighboring countries to bring it back. Meanwhile, it is a desecration of the land of the country, the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We have one of the most respected flag, the green, white, green, and this is what should be raised by our protesters, not a foreign country's protester. When you carry foreign country's flag into our nation, you're actually desecrating our land, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Now, let's talk about the dynamics of it also. People went out of their way, looting, destroying banks, and all of that. So how could the authorities have, you know, attended to this brigandage, you know, and then distinctive from the genuine protesters? Because it looks like the security services too were confused. You see, so how do we draw the line between looting and then, of course, protesting for one's rights?
The thing is, there are some political evolution that is happening in Kano State, being an opposition state, and the drama that is happening between the two emirs. I'm sure you know about
the federal and state emirs.
You know, so all those things have been playing out. And the governor was saying for a very long time that the security agencies don't listen to him. Whether true or false, I don't think it's true. I don't believe that you will be an executive governor, a chief security officer of the state.
That could actually still happen because it's an opposition state.
So we believe, based on what you can see, you will imagine a loose attention of government to the protesters. The government did not make any plan, every strong plan to make sure they contain in their responsibility of protecting life and properties of the citizens of the state, simply because they thought that if it goes anywhere, maybe it could be to their disadvantage, to their advantage. Unfortunately, it went to the disadvantage not just to the state of Kano, but to the innocent citizens of Kano that are legitimately trading to make ends meet. Yeah. So this is exactly the challenge that we have. So I believe that the government took it like a testicle, and the template of what happened in Kano now gave a booster to some states to copy.
Yeah, I mean, even Kaduna that you know, was quiet after Kaduna 2 to 3 days, all of a sudden.
When they saw it's happening in Kano and there were no consequences, they felt like, okay, so let us jump to Kaduna. And then
all right, gentlemen, as we try to look for solutions to this, why don't we have an anti-corruption agenda by President Tinubu? Because the focus too by the government was only on the hunger part. But the bad governance part, we haven't really heard measures to reduce the cost of governance, to reduce corruption and all of that?
Well, it depends on whether you want to see the cup as half full or half empty. I think the president, without making too much noise, has gone about his anti-corruption drive in a quiet manner. In fact, for him to suspend a serving minister tells you how seriously he's taking this thing. The fact that they are not singing it as a mantra does not mean they're not doing their job.
Well, the opposition says that...
Well, the opposition's job is to continue to preempt and make noise about things. Our job as intellectuals is to look beyond what the opposition is saying. Now, what am I saying? A lot of people have been arrested without noise. A lot of monies are being recovered without noise. So clearly they are working on it. And from what I also understand, listening to the Minister of Finance, we have improved greatly in terms of, for instance, we are, our debt, our debt servicing to GDP has improved. Before, we were using 97% of our earnings to service debt. Now we have reduced that by 29% to 68%, and it's getting better. So clearly governance is improving, but you will not see it if you have been fixated on being a complainant and somebody who just wants to see negatives. So positives are happening every day. The economy is being boosted. We can see all the rating agencies are rating Nigeria so highly. We can see that now nobody is talking about the fact that prices of food and other things have been dropping massively. And then if you remember, the president also waived taxes on import taxes on medicine and consumables. Now go to the pharmacies. Prices of drugs, medications are dropping, but everybody doesn't want to talk about. Nobody will talk about the positives. Exactly. So that's why I say we must go beyond what they are saying. We must look at it, because if you go to the pharmacy today, what you bought last month, the prices are better now. So things are improving. Before we were shouting, oh, 1 tuber of yam is 6,000, but now you can buy 4 tuber for 5,000. But nobody's talking about it. We were shouting tomato is 150,000. Now tomato has come to 35,000. Nobody's talking about it. So it is improving.
Well,
but we must not listen. No, we must not listen to. No. There was one woman who does a market survey on Twitter. Her name is Auntie Esther or something. She posted it out there and actually asked people, because I have a team, we do market intelligence too. We've gone out. Clearly, price of food have dropped massively. It now depends on how we want to look at it. So, right. Is the cup full or half full or half empty? It depends on how you're looking at it.
Adamu Garba, I ask you the same question. Why haven't we seen measures taken by this government? People are complaining that the government is over-bloated. 48 ministers, so many appointments. In fact, a few days ago, President Tinubu still made much more appointments. Should we not think of rejigging governance so that it looks like the president is actually listening to Nigerians on bad governance?
I think my problem is not bad a governance cost issue, right? It's a cost of government. To run the government, the cost of government is very, very high. And if you look at what some office holders do, political office holders, those are the things that is sounding intimidating to the common man. A common man is crying of lack of what to eat. And suddenly a certain DG is coming for a function and you saw 20 cars coming in and all of them brand new. So this is usually intimidating. So I think some certain austerity measures, if it can be taken, is about perception management. It's about symbolic representation. That yes, we feel your pain and we are also participating in ameliorating this pain. We are also suffering it together with you. So it's not a bad deal if the government can consider this. It's not a bad deal if some measures can be put in place to say, okay, maybe as a minister, please 2, 3, 4, 5 cars is enough for you to go to events. This should appear this way.
The same view by my chairman.
If I can remember the president actually came out with this, cutting his own cost personally. He has said, so and so number cannot, beyond so and so cannot travel with him, and he has started implementing it, but nobody is giving.
Yeah, but there was also a report which the presidency said that the government was going to.
Well, they started something.
We haven't seen anything so much, and that's why people are saying.
You understand that there are a lot of challenges. There are a lot of challenges. Things cannot happen abracadabrally. He has to give time for it to happen. There's some
how much time?
The man has spent only 1.5 years, less than 1.5 years.
Yes.
Just 1 year and 2 months, for heaven's sake. He has 4 years.
Right.
Another issue with the Orosanya report again is that most of these offices that were established were Act of National Assembly, were constitutional.
Exactly.
So you may have to go through a lot of constitutional gymnastics to get them realigned. So this is usually going to take a little bit of time. Another thing again is that some of them, okay, when you eliminate them, does that really, so far the total number of civil servants we have in Nigeria, from federal to state to local government, is not more than 5 million.
It's not 5 million. If you add the state,
very small.
Yeah,
so it's not really big. It's just the spending, like how.
And why we are shouting, we don't want.
So this is where the problem is.
The Northwest people say they want their own development commission, because Southeast have gotten not. So why Nigerians with one hand say we want good governance, by the second hand they are saying we want more. So see, Nigerians themselves need to determine what they want.
All right, gentlemen, as we try to round off this conversation, there's something that's been worrying me.
Okay.
This protest was, gingered by Nigerian youths. I mean, we are almost all young people here.
Yes.
What exactly should be the focus going forward now that this 10 days protest has held for those in government to be able to provide more solutions to younger generations of people, the teeming youths?
From my own perspective, many promises were made to these young people, and that things can be better. They will want to see it practiced, not just spoken. These are Gen Zs. They followed reality. And their attention span, if you are a technology person, you notice that it's no more than 46 seconds. So they don't have time. So whatever it is that we promise to these young people, the government must make sure that it accelerates the process of implementation. I believe that the government have a lot of policies that is helping the young people. If you look at the student loan program, the investment program, youth investment program, these are all fantastic applications. We even have Renews Hope Estate, where you can apply. You go to Federal Mortgage Bank if you are paying your national housing loan fund.
Some of them are online.
Yes. So fantastic programs where you can own a house, you can pay for your school fees, and you can get a job. Well, you can also start a business.
Something I can also add to you
so they may have to take time to go through government programs. They should not be listening to some handles in social media that will just tell them everything is bad. No, it's not about everything, but let them start.
A lot of programs
and participate in these programs.
Are being released every day.
But one of those programs,
he has just said something that
one of those programs, Ayo, is that you can go and collect a loan or collect some sort of grant if you're unemployed. I mean, we had some ministers saying that.
I heard that.
But that hasn't really started. I mean,
it like he said, some of these things are already running. For instance, I'm aware the student loan program application is already working.
Yeah, I mean,
so a lot of things are happening for the young people. Like he rightly said, stop listening to negative people. For instance, you talked about corruption. Are you aware that 50 billion has been released to Nelfund and Credit Corp, all from EFCC, for money that we are taking from people who stole them? So these are good things happening.
Well, if the government is not communicating that, how should Nigerians actually know?
How does the government have a television house apart from NTA? Most of them don't watch. And for you private TVs, you rather look for the one that is against government than for government. So we need to learn.
We are not supposed to be
on a very serious note, you can also partner. While you are taking your opposition stand, very fantastic, you can also partner with government to announce to Nigerians good things that they can benefit from, because on the long run, it is for the benefit of all of us. Our young people depend on this information. A lot of things are being rolled out for young people, but they are not aware because they are perpetually online looking for something to be angry about. So rather than being angry, a lot of good things they can tap into, and it will be a blessing to them. For instance, I never knew there was an ICT village being built in Kano until they went to loot it during the protest. I never knew. So these are the problems.
That was a very sad development. Very quickly, Adamu Garba, do you think that there are political implications for President Tinubu on this protest? Because people are already saying in some quarters that President Tinubu should forget his second term because the Talakawas are angry in the north.
Yes, I think people may see it that way. But me, I see opportunity for President Tinubu here. Because it shows that the political system that was believed to be given the power The Talakawas are saying vote of no confidence. When you look at the trend of this uprising, you like a protest. This is riot, not a protest. It's not necessarily a vote of no confidence of the presidency or administration of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
You think
it's
so?
a long term. It's a long term saying no to the status quo. A very long time saying no to the status quo. That's how you need to look at it. So a little bit of push and change and proper reform that reach the grassroots from the president will win him a very massive legacy that even Gandhi and Churchill will be jealous.
Well, that's interesting. Ayo, because I mean, local government autonomy, if it were
for me,
properly
those are some of the things we should
actually
look at. This president is building reforms. Before, everybody will start shouting when they go to TV station, we want, what do they call this? When they all of them wanted, there was a way they used to call it.
The subsidy removal?
No, not subsidy removal. Everybody wanted autonomy. Okay. We want whatever. But he's giving autonomy now. This is how it works. You do it block by block. Like the Bible even say, precept upon precept, a little here, a little there. Local autonomy here, student loan scheme here. Gradually, he's building gradually. And if we help him and assist him, Nigeria will be better for it.
Well, let's just hope Nigerians can trust their government again, because, I mean...
It's up to you, the press, to help show Nigerians some of the positive side.
A lot of Nigerians actually don't believe politicians in power any longer.
No, TV stations should help us announce the good things, because Nigerians need to see the bad and the good, so they can weigh it
to
against
play
each
our
other.
constitutional responsibilities. I want to thank you so much. Oyalowo is a public policy analyst, and of course he has joined us to help us understand the issues. And at the end of the 10-day protest by aggrieved Nigerians who are protesting hunger and bad governance. And of course we also have had with us here Adamu Garba, former APC presidential aspirant. I don't know if you're warming up for 2027, but I mean, young people are speaking. Young people are speaking. They said they are tired. They said they are tired of the older generation. Okay, well, it's all left to Nigerians. We want to thank you, gentlemen, for joining us here.